It's Thursday, March 26, and time for your Barbados Today Morning News Update. Developments surrounding COVID-19 have all but crippled business in the capital, forcing some operators to take steps to cope with a looming economic downturn. Workers at major outlets including Abbott's, Woolworth and Cape Shepherd have already been served notice of a reduced work week as management hankered down to ride out the blow to their bottom line. However, officials at the three main Bridgetown stores said they are not contemplating layoffs at this time.
As you would expect, it's been very quiet. I can honestly say that both of our stores, both the one in the city and out of town at Sheraton Mall, have been experiencing severe fall-offs in sales, which is to be expected. And frankly, what we're doing at this stage is trying to keep all of our staff on. Yes, they're working a shorter week, but we're trying to, as best as we can, tread water until there's a directive one way or the other. But this cannot continue as it is. Many businesses are considering to close their doors as early as this weekend. We all have a very common goal. We want to keep those who are most vulnerable in our organizations employed so they have an income, with the expectation that with government assistance and with some clarity as we go along, at least we'll get a better handle as to how long this will last, and so we can all prepare ourselves to try to find a balance over the length. And that's the key. We can do it for 2 or 3 weeks, but if it goes beyond that, it's going to get very difficult to sustain it from a business point of view.
On an almost bare Prince William Henry Street, Woolworth's managing director Martin Bryan painted an equally grim picture of dwindling sales.
To be honest, we saw a drastic reduction in sales from late last week, Friday, Saturday, and then this week. Our revenue has dropped off significantly, and this is all to do with the COVID-19, because we are not in the food retail. So if you look at where people are shopping, it is pretty much groceries, supermarkets and pharmacies. Our toiletries department has been doing quite well, but that's a small portion of our business. So like your painkillers, your Panadols, vitamin C, etc. In fact, we don't have any shelf right now, some more coming in now. But yeah, we've seen a drastic drop off in business. As of next week, we're going to a 4-day work week, which we have talked to the workers' representatives about already. So our staff hours will be cut by 20%. And by the end of the week, they may very well go down to a 3-day work week. Right now, it's definitely going to be a 4-day work week starting Monday.
Across on Broad Street, the usual hustle and bustle of tourists at Cape Shepherd was noticeably absent. Executive Director Richard Simpson told Barbados Today sales were down, but the store was holding its own due to local support.
It has had an effect on business and sales. As you know, more than half of our business right now is tourist related, visitor related, and with all that's happened, that's basically very small at the moment, but we are still having a little element of local business at the moment. So it has had an effect on business and sales. As you know, more than half of our business right now is tourist related, visitor related, and with all that's happened, that's basically very small at the moment, but we are still having a little element of local business at the moment.
The Barbados Secondary Teachers Union is on board with the revised date for the Barbados Secondary Schools entrance examinations. Yesterday, Education Minister Santia Bradshaw announced that the 11 plus, as it is commonly known, will now be held on June 2nd. She also announced a number of changes to aspects of the CXC examinations. However, BSTU President Mary Redmond said the resumption of the Trinity term on April 14 and the exam were all dependent on how the COVID-19 crisis unfolds.
The thing is that, all of the plans and rescheduling, the projections that are being made now, are being made subject to, as I said, how circumstances unfold for us. And everybody's trying to put measures in place, but the extent to which these measures will actually be realized in the way that they're intended depends on what happens with the virus in our country. So that even though plans are being put in place, everything is still dependent on what happens.
All right, great.
The situation is very, very, very fluid.
Elderly persons are being urged to follow the directives given by health officials in order to safeguard themselves against COVID-19. The renewed appeal from the president of the Barbados Association of Retired Persons, Marilyn Rice Bowen, comes as the country navigates stage 2 of its preparedness plan with 18 confirmed cases of the virus.
Follow all the nasty guidelines, stay indoors. Of course, they must wash their hands, but what's most important is to stay indoors. You know, we can't say it enough, but they need to stay indoors. And if they do that, you know, things should be all right, but you need really and truly to stay put. They need to stay put. And everything will be all right. COVID will go eventually, but if we follow if we follow all the instructions being given by the government and the different departments, you know, we should be safe. You know, but it's just to follow those guidelines and stay put.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Craft Center. Kick off the weekend this Friday from 4 p.m. to midnight with loads of food, drinks, and entertainment. Get ready for Crop Over with the Rhythm Root Street Parade. Party like it's Kadooman Day on the street around Pelican Village with costume reveler, music, and more. It's Festive Friday. It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Village Center from 4 p.m. to midnight. Admission free.
To news from our region, residents of Trinidad and Tobago are being urged to remain calm as the country records its first death as a result of COVID-19. In a statement, Health Minister Terence Dialsing said the deceased and elderly man had a pre-existing medical condition. Guyana is the only other CARICOM country to have recorded a death linked to the virus. And finally, the United Nations has launched a US $2 billion global humanitarian response plan to fund the fight against COVID-19 in the world's poorest countries. Speaking to reporters via teleconference, UN Chief Antonio Guterres said the whole of humanity must fight back against COVID-19 as individual country responses are not going to be enough.
If we do not act decisively now, I fear the virus will establish a foothold in the most fragile countries, leaving the whole world vulnerable as it continues to circle the planet, paying no mind to borders. This is the moment to step up for the vulnerable. Today, we are launching a $2 billion global humanitarian response plan to fund the fight against COVID-19 in the world's poorest countries. Coordinated by the UN's Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, this interagency plan brings together existing appeals from the World Health Organization and other UN partners and identifies new needs as well. Properly funded, it will save many lives and arm humanitarian agencies and NGOs with laboratory supplies for testing and with medical equipment to treat the sick while protecting healthcare workers.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.